Hello, and this is the Warpforge with another 40k rambling. On this one is the arrival of 7th edition, and in this video I just want to cover a few aspects, clarify a few things, what I like now that it's in actual print and in actual my hands. I want to say what I like, what I dislike, what I'm on the fence about, and what my general opinion of this book is. But first, I'll go through what does this mean for the channel. Well, 7th edition has arrived. I have the book. I can help out for my friends and stuff. This does mean I'll be doing more. Well, I will be doing Warhammer 40,000 7th edition battle reports from now on, from this video on so forth. So, with this, I've decided to go through the complaints. I'll say the criticisms first because I like leaving the optimistic things at the last, because it generally leaves a nice taste after seeing the video. So, what do I dislike first? And that is the assault phase. The assault phase just didn't change. The Overwatch didn't change. So what was rumoured was if you declared Overwatch, you couldn't shoot the turn after, which sounded like it would have given assault armies a massive break. However, this did not happen. It is exactly the same as 6th edition. The only change in terms of charging is if you're going through difficult terrain, you -2 to your result instead of rolling 3 dice and discarding the highest. So I'm happy with the charge through terrain rule. I like that change, but the fact is Overwatch is still going to be a very heavy hitting factor in this game. Just to me, it reinforces the game as more of a shooting game again, rather than having a balance between movement, assault and shooting. So, and that's really my major complaint. I've already said in the other video that I didn't like the idea of glance and hits not changing, and the other one, which was, if I can remember correctly, there was something else. I can't remember, but in the other video there was something else. What am I on the fence about? Well, if I remember correctly, was the allies. Allies changed majorly. For example, the whole allies list got shorter as they have grouped all the Imperial armies into one section, which is battle brothers towards each other, called Armies of the Imperium. This contains basically everything loyalist. Everything loyalist Marines, Grey Knights, Inquisition, Adeptus Sororitas, I think that's how you pronounce it. And the most one that caught my eye was Astra Militarum, which was the Guard Codex. This doesn't gain my approval, and the thing is, I'm not really against it. It now makes a ton more sense because they're using more of the Allies sense in general, and it's used the Imperium as very xenophobic, which is how the Imperium is usually portrayed, as everything that's Xeno is either desperate or enemy come the apocalypse. The only loophole, the only exception to this, is Eldar, which are Eyes of Convenience. And I don't like this. Basically, I don't like it because it relates to the Astra Militarum. That basically tells me, because Chaos Marines of Demons are now come the apocalypse with Astra Militarum, I can't do Traitor Guard fully, and I can't do it as it was in 6th edition, which, as I can adapt to these changes, it does sort of downpour on the experience, because I like the idea of having Traitor Guard alongside Chaos Marines. There is a slight change to come the apocalypse, which is you can use them as allies now. However, they're treated as desperate and you have to deploy a certain amount along a certain amount away, which I do not approve, if I'm quite honest. And I don't approve of it because it makes sense having Traitor Guard, which is represented by Forge World now, which I don't quite like, mainly because I'm all for Forge World. There are no questions asked. I love using Forge World. You've seen in the other battle reports, I love using me Contempted Dreadnought, I love using Blood Slaughterers, Mega Dreads. I'm all for Forge World. However, there are people out in the community that aren't so open to Forge World, let's just say, and there is a massive still Forge World stereotype where everything Forge World produces is vastly overpowered, which is not the case, but people don't bother to read. They just like to bandwagon from the internet forums, which I'm not trying to say as a criticism. However, I do notice a lot of people who have this stereotype just use the basic examples from wargaming forums and just say everything's overpowered because of a certain portion here, which by a long shot is exactly the same for a normal 40k codex, but everyone uses a codex and not many people use Forge World, so it does slightly ruin the experience because now you have to go into Forge World unless you really want to go for come the apocalypse. So it's lucky that we do have house rules in place over at my gaming store for this, but as far as I'm aware, apart from those two changes, I like the ally system because it's now more distrustful. There aren't as many huggable allies as there was in 6th edition, so there's bits that I don't like in it and there's bits that I like, hence why I'm on the fence about it. To me, now it's just playing by experience, waiting to see what happens for playing experience, to see how allies really do affect the game now. Now what do I do like? We'll start off with, if I go right back, the Psychic Phase. Yes, that was a Yu-Gi-Oh card wrapper. I like Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, the Psychic Phase. I like it. I like it a lot, and it makes a lot of sense. When I'm looking at other 6th edition codexes that are now 7th, a lot of things do make sense now. The Eldar Codex and all the blessings, the witch fights and all that, they make even more sense than 6th edition was, and I like that. I like it how all the psychic powers are now grouped into one phase, because I always found it hard to remember absolutely everything, like what time do I announce psychic power, particularly malediction, sorry. I found it very hard to remember when maledictions happened, so having them all grouped into one phase, I can approve of that. I like that change. I like it how it moves. It's basically more of a toned down version of the fantasy magic phase. It's more tame compared to that one, which I like because it's not essential. It's there, but you don't need it all the time, which I like. Similarly, a lot of anti-psychic stuff now makes a lot more sense, such as the Khorne stuff. In the Khorne section of the Chaos Demons Codex, you have Collars of Khorne, which is +2 to deny the witch rolls, which have a massive impact in the psychic phase, considering that you need to roll 6s now for deny the witch, which before you could, but this time it's due to the way it's structured, it has more of an impact now, in my opinion. The same goes with Blessing of the Blood God for Khan the Betrayer in the Chaos Space Marine Codex. His Deny the Witch rolls are absolutely brutal to a crucial psychic phase, which I absolutely love. Fair enough, it's more in self-defense because you can only use it if a power's targeting his unit. However, if it is essentially an end game where you will roll a lot of dice and you will dispel whatever comes your way. So I absolutely positively love the psychic phase. It just simplifies a lot of things that you had to remember before in 6th edition and previous editions beforehand. The second thing I like is the super heavy vehicle table. I love this. Honestly, I absolutely love it. And I know people are probably having a bit of a whinge about it, but when I'm looking at it, I have a Stomper and a converted Skull Crusher tank, the one with the massive turret. Doesn't give much of a description. But yeah, I do have a Stomper, and having a Lord of War as a legal choice now just opens up a shed ton for me. I absolutely love what I see in it, and the rules for the super heavy vehicles are absolutely brilliant for me, because they are essentially very hard to crack. The only way you can really do any damage is to quite literally glance it to death. When you roll for the vehicle damage table, it's basically immune to everything apart from explodes, in which case explode is now been changed to remove a further D3 hull points in addition to the hull point for the penetrating hit. So for me, it's there, and it shows how tough a super heavy vehicle is, and I love that. Furthermore, you can declare different targets for each weapon on a super heavy, which I love that idea, because it reflects the background on what's happening around in the battle, and it's so flexible for a super heavy vehicle to have that. Such as a Baneblade, you don't want to be firing 2 las cannons on its side, sponsoring turrets at a horde. You want to fire the battle cannon, the big massive template thing. But you want those las cannons to go into other targets, probably armour, stuff with an armour value or monstrous creature. So I love that flexibility. The third part I like about the super heavy table is the Thunder Blitz table. Yeah, the Thunder Blitz and the Stomp tables. Because I love the idea of ramming a vehicle, rolling a 6, and literally flipping a Land Raider. Just like me Stomper just gets a bit of a sore loser, so it just kicks the Land Raider into the air. I just love the idea of the flipped roll. So to me, I love this. I love this flexibility that I now officially, legally can have a super heavy vehicle. Obviously, I won't be springing it up on my opponents. I will ask them if I can use a super heavy vehicle pre-game, because I'm not a twonk like that, if I'm quite honest. But again, I'm happy with that. I'm happy that super heavies exist as a core part of 40k. And I like the restriction as well, because you can't just have an army full of them unless you go unbound. But with this, you can only take one super heavy vehicle, which is also a Lord of War, or super heavy gargantuan creature, you know, etc, etc. So I absolutely love that idea. The third idea I like are the Warlord traits. They have new stuff in, they have new command, personal traits, strategic traits. They have a ton more, so it adds more flexibility to your commander. And I like this because there's something for everyone in each table. If you're an orc, you'll probably like to go with personal. If you play guard, you might want to go strategic if you don't like your own warlord chart. If you're Space Marines, you might want to go for one of these instead of one of your own. I love it, and what I like even better is the force organisation chart changed a bit. And there's only one thing I can gripe about a little, and that's you can take multiple force organisation charts. And personally, I don't think that's right, mainly because I think it's just because of player stubbornness, if I'm quite honest with you all. Because I've always played by one force organisation chart and one allies chart. But I can understand it at the same time, because in 6th edition there was the Imperial Knight, the Inquisition, and then Space Marines with a guard detachment, and it felt a bit too much Avengers Assemble. But with these multiple force organisation charts, I can see more races getting more flexibility out of it, so I can understand it. I think that this is something that I'm going to have to talk to my local gaming club about and see what their opinion on this is. For me, like I said, that's the only small gripe. What I do like about it is there is now a distinction between Battleforged, which follows the Force Organisation chart, and Unbound, which is stick whatever you like in. And I like the Battleforged army because of the benefits you get. For example, if you choose Battleforge, everything scores. So I can have I can have units of more stuff. Like, I like orcs, and I like the dread mob idea, and I like filling loads of walkers into me orc armies, or orc army. So to have everything scoring from that, just to plough up ahead, is just an absolute brilliant thing for me. I like that idea. I can just imagine like some Kellicant's defending position until a certain mob of boys arrive. But that's how I see it. I like that idea. Similarly, I like Unbound armies, but there is a limit, I'm going to say. For example, I like it how you could make fluffy formations that occur with the background. Like, for example, you can stick as many Carnifexes as you want and then have Old One Eye as a leader to represent a frontal siege assault using lots of siege warfare, siege Carnifexes from Forge World, Old One Eye, just send them out and just smash the fortress walls down and just carnage. That's okay. However, I am saying that there is a limit, and when there is a limit, that's when people start to get a bit cold and calculative. I.e., they're going to stick 24 Riptides with 60 Helldrakes, etc., etc. When it doesn't occur to the fluff and break it just for the power level, my best advice would be to refuse that game immediately. I know it sounds a bit harsh, but at the same time, if somebody's literally just going to fill out on one slot just for the power level, is that game going to be really fun? That's up to you to decide. Personally, it depends on the situation at hand. Like I say, I like the new Force Organisation. The deployment stayed the same, and the missions stayed the same. There are new missions, and I'm basically just going to say I'm on the fence about, because looking at them, they seem simple enough, but and this is just personal opinion, I'm going to have to learn through experience to gain a full opinion about them, to gain a full judgment. I'm literally just going to have to play the missions to get a feel for them, get an atmosphere. But apart from that, my overall... Oh, before I forget, there's always one thing. Yes, in the new Psychic phase, there is demonology, and there is a limit. I love the idea of demonology. I love the malefic powers. I love the idea of just spawning demons. So, say, a Chaos Marine Sorcerer, he's an ally, he goes, big staff, wham, bloodletters everywhere, or Nurgle, the plague bearers everywhere. He then in the next turn stabs the staff again and some blood flies appear, or some blood crushers of corn. I love that idea, and to be fair, I love the idea of sending demons out costing for free. However, I have said there is a limit. And the limit becomes, again, when you're playing for the power level. For example, I assume if you're watching this, then you know about the Demon Factory, which is basically demons on demons. This is just literally just for the power level of spawning as much demons as you can, more bodies, which is harder to adapt to. And to me, I don't like this. As a Chaos player, I don't like it, because you're playing for the power level and it reminds us too much of Tervagon spam with the old Tyranid Codex. And I personally was a bit 50-50 on the idea of the Tervagons, because I didn't like I didn't like it how you just mass spammed and you just spammed for the sake of spamming. I didn't like that personally, but that's just my opinion. Like I say, with Demonology, I like it. I like it all. My general opinion on the 7th edition rules is that I like it. Yeah. Honestly, I'm just going to play this by the book. Quite literally. I'm just going to play it and just... hopefully this will be a refreshing edge to 6th edition, because if I'm being honest, I didn't enjoy 6th edition, but judging from this, I think I'm going to enjoy 7th edition more. So, yeah, I'm going to say 6th edition is dead, long live 7th edition. So this is the Warforge, with a 40k rambling of the arrival of 7th edition. If you like this video, or if you like me rambling, then give it a like and give us a subscribe. There will be more battle reports, so if you enjoy battle reports or more hobby updates, which I will be doing, then you may want to subscribe. Give this video a like if you want. If there's anything you want to talk about, and I am all for talking to you guys and girls out there. I love talking to my audience. I love talking to you guys, because you guys are what make me make more videos. Because I enjoy making videos for the enjoyment of making videos for you guys and gals. So this is the Warforge signing out, and remember, keep on forging.